Greg, we're looking back a little bit in a burn the tape loss to the Denver Broncos. Before you burned it, you watched it and learned quite a few things. And it feels like everyone's ire right now seems to be centered on Cam Newton.
Yeah, I think so, John. I mean, that's where I came out when I watched the film. And at BostonSportsJournal.com, I wrote a column, my weekly breakdown, and I pulled, I think, 10 different plays where Cam's just holding on to the ball, not getting rid of it, guys being open. Sometimes they're not, hugely open, but I mean, look, Drew Lock was making throws into tight coverage against a good Patriots secondary and completing some of them. I mean, that 3rd and 21 conversion was, basically dropped into a telephone booth. And Cam Newton just time and time again just showed an aversion to, not only throwing into coverage, but just identifying who was open down the field. I think, the most egregious one to me was on the final drive when he took that sack. I'm just trying to look for the play real quick. It was so it was 2nd and 10 at the Denver 24. He sacked for a 6-yard loss. And Damiere Byrd is wide open. He's in the left slot. Snap happens. He's wide open. I think the Broncos busted a coverage. Like one of the safeties didn't get the message that they were supposed to pick up Byrd. And he's wide open. And I have a picture from the end zone where Newton is looking right at Byrd. But he's wide. I'm telling you, there's not anybody within 10 yards of him, and he doesn't throw the ball. I don't see anybody really flashing in front of him. Maybe the tip passes got into his head or something, but that's a throw that has to be made. That's a possible game-winning touchdown right there. And I got vibes of, sort of from the Seattle game where he had Julian Edelman open in the end zone.
Yeah.
He threw too high for Edelman. That should have won that game. This throw could have won this game, and he's just not making the throws. And the thing that alarmed me, John, is that if it was just this one game, considering what he's been through, he hasn't played in 3 weeks. The team hasn't really practiced. They had, I think, one decent practice, and then a walkthrough. If it was just this game, then I could say, okay, they need to practice, whatnot. But you combine this with he was having some of these same issues against the Raiders. They ended up winning that game.
Right.
They could not overcome it in this game. And now I'm starting to get concerned. I mean, do I think it's time to panic? No, but I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, so how much of it is this? Again, you're looking at all of the reasons to stack up. And there are a lot of excuses here where you have practice. And a lot of these are legit. There's no practice time, so that hurts. He was out himself dealing with an illness that's a serious issue, even though he himself was not greatly affected, it appears. You don't have the best crop of receivers flashing open at all times, even though he missed a lot of plays out there. And the offensive line was a total mess. How much of this was on Newton, just lack of recognition? How much of it was on mechanics? I've seen people kind of cite a little bit of all of it here in their film reviews, which is, okay, he didn't recognize this play, but he also kind of went back into his weird javelin throw style, stepping to the side, not, and shades of old bad Newton that you didn't really want to see start popping up again.
Yeah, John, I mean, I think there's a little bit of all that. And there was certainly an out to Edelman on 3rd down in the red zone where Newton wasn't even close. I mean, he was closer to basically where the Patriots did to the lighthouse than he was to Edelman on that play throwing. And he threw, not surprisingly, he threw short and weakly to Edelman, and it was an incompletion where that needs to be a completion, even though there's a free blitzer coming on the outside. He has to know that. He has to step into the throw and make it, and that's part of being a franchise quarterback. Now, how much of the blame do I put on Newton? If I had a blame pie for this, I would probably put about 60% on Newton. I would put about 30% on the lack of dangerous weapons, difference makers around him. And I would put 10% on the offensive line, which really wasn't that bad considering the amount of flux that they had. even to start the game and then in the game. I thought they were pretty good overall. The pressure rate wasn't ridiculous, even with the Broncos coming on, blitz after blitz at times. And that's something else that we can get into, is that, what's driving me crazy is Newton's got to pick up the pace. Yeah. I mean, the Broncos are coming with all-out blitzes, and he's just going through his normal drop like it's no big deal. Like, Let's go. We're playing football. Let's get the ball out. Let's get moving. Where then you watch the Broncos film, and you see Drew Lock, who's getting the snap and getting rid of it and distributing the ball. Yes, he has some real playmakers to work with on that offense, but there's no reason why the Patriots can't be that way. And the big thing is, Nick, is people can say whatever they want about downplaying Newton's influence on this, but the bottom line is they didn't score a touchdown in this game. If they score one touchdown, they get out of here with a victory, which is normally what would have happened if Tom Brady was here, and it didn't happen. And so that has to fall on the quarterback.